What's going on, everyone? So far this season, all of the potential Laker trade rumors are all centered around DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. Obviously, it's early. New things could open up, especially as we move closer to the trade deadline. But also, it makes a lot of sense. Chicago, we know they're trying to trade Zach LaVine. If they trade Zach LaVine, it's going to be a fire sale. They're going to hit the reset button, try to unload everything if possible for the right price. DeMar DeRozan, he's an expiring contract. They're not going to want to lose him for nothing, so they're going to want to trade him for something, and both of these guys make a world of sense for the Lakers. So, of course, there's going to be a conversation about that. And Chicago, look, I said that they should have tore it down last season, and they didn't, and now they're still atrocious. They're not even going to make the play-in, even with these guys, and it's really time to hit the reset button. But another team, and again, this is just a fun conversation. Don't take it too crazy now. But I really do think another team to kind of keep an eye on is the Clippers, right? And before we dive into it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think down in the comments. But the Clippers, terrible. Like, they've been awful thus far this season. They're not very good. It's very clunky. And the only way that they're going to solve their issue is to very likely trade one of their stars, right? This is a perfect example of you can't just throw a bunch of big names on the basketball court and expect them to win. Just can't. There's no movement or fluidity to their offense. None of these guys outside of Paul George play defense. I mean, even Kawhi has not been very good defensively compared to previous years. There's the injury concerns. Obviously, come playoff time, James Harden likes to completely disappear. Will these guys be healthy? I mean, there's just so many questions with the Clippers. And the only way the Clippers are very likely going to right the ship is to trade somebody. You're going to have to trade Kawhi or Paul George or somebody. Now, personally, if I'm the Clippers, I would probably trade Kawhi Leonard because, one, I just think you'll get more for him than you would Paul George on just name alone and just history. But Paul George has been the better player so far this season, and he's the better difficulty shot maker. He's been the better defender, right? He's also been healthier over the years than Kawhi Leonard. But I definitely see teams that would look at Kawhi and go, man, if we get Kawhi Leonard, we might, like, that might be the move to win the NBA championship. Problem is you got to kind of load manage Kawhi Leonard. So we'll see if this is interesting. But look, they went and got James Harden, not just solely for basketball reasons. Steve Ballmer's opening a new arena. He wants to have the stars to get butts and seats. But nobody cares if you're not winning, right? You could have all the stars in the world. Like, at the end of the day, that's going to fade if you don't win basketball games. And maybe the Clippers completely turn it around. Maybe the Clippers end up being great and they figure it out and they move in a positive direction. I just don't see it. I really don't. Right? They have talent. They're going to win games. They have enough talent alone to just, like, they're going to win some significant games. But wouldn't be shocked if they're at the bottom of the play-in. And as crazy as it sounds, considering this team has Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard, I wouldn't be shocked at all if they missed the playoffs. I mean, just the way that they've looked so far. So the only way I see it is, again, they got to make a trade, or, not that I want this, like, it always sucks to see, but from a Clippers standpoint, if one of these guys missed significant time, which isn't out of the realm of possibility for either of these guys. But if the Clippers do continue to fold, either of these guys make a lot of sense for the Lakers. Although I personally, before we get into it, like I said, I would rather have Paul George than Kawhi. But we'll touch on it. So, Kawhi, let's start there. Kawhi Leonard, he would have been a Laker. If the Clippers didn't go and get Paul George, Kawhi Leonard would have probably 2 championships, and he would have been in purple and gold, right? Which, there's a question of, like, should the Lakers ever even have signed Kawhi Leonard? In hindsight, obviously at the time, yes. And the Lakers waited very patiently for Kawhi Leonard. right? They missed out on a bunch of free agents and all kinds of stuff because they thought Kawhi Leonard was coming to the Lakers. And he ultimately didn't end up coming. He ended up spurning them, going to the Clippers, teaming up with Paul George. But Kawhi Leonard, I mean, look, if you have Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, you're probably the best team in the league. Like, Kawhi is still very good at the game of basketball. Don't get me wrong. He's not prime Kawhi Leonard. He's not that elite lockdown defender that he once was, but he's still good defensively. And he's still a guy that could just absolutely go get buckets, right? So far in the so far for the Clippers, he's averaging 21.8 points per game, so 22 points per game. He's giving you 6 rebounds, 4 assists, rounding that up a little bit, 1.5 steals, and then we'll round it up again with a block. Shooting 83% from the free throw line. He's shooting 51.5% from 2-point range. We know how good he is in the mid-range. And then from 3-point range on 6 attempts per game, again, rounding it up slightly, shooting 38%. Every single one of those things would be extremely welcomed by the Lakers, right? My problem is one, can he be healthy come playoff time, right? The Lakers have enough talent and pieces to where, like, you can weather the storm and kind of load manage him over the course of the season. So the load managing thing, I wouldn't really be too concerned with, especially if you have LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Kawhi Leonard. You can kind of just sprinkle them throughout the season, and I'll make sure you always have 2 of them, and you're going to win a bunch of games and be a playoff team. And then once you get into the playoffs, as long as these guys are healthy, like, you're probably not losing. So I definitely like the idea of Kawhi Leonard, but it's probably a big investment. He's going to want a new contract, and also more than anything, he can be a black hole at times, right? Like, he gets the basketball and he's just tunnel vision, right? I'm going to go get a bucket, which the Lakers do need. So I definitely think if you have an opportunity to get Kawhi Leonard, I think you do it, right? As great as DeMar and Levine would be, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George would be better because they both play both sides of the basketball and they both provide a lot of the same stuff that Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan give you. So I absolutely, if you could get one of the Clipper guys, you get them over the Chicago guys. But Paul George, as I mentioned, I like Paul George. Again, he's been better defensively thus far this year. He's a little more of a team player, right? He's more willing to kind of adjust and fit in. He also is the better difficulty shot maker. He is at times the better over the top shooter. Like, Paul George, I think, again, you're the best team in the league. Now, a lot of the same issues with Kawhi, injury history, things like that. Both of these guys we know want to be Lakers. As much as Paul George has said in the past, like, I was always a Clipper fan. Like, you weren't saying that like a year earlier, right? Relax, slow down. Also, the other concern is just the playoffs, right? He's had his playoff blunders where he's completely disappeared, where Kawhi, Kawhi is a guy that has led a team and won an NBA championship, has the experience, is a guy that can show up in big moments and hit big shots and has hit game winners in the playoffs and stuff. Ask the Sixers, how they feel about Kawhi and his shot, right? There are concerns with Paul George. But I just think Paul George at this stage of both guys' careers has been the better player and is more dynamic than Kawhi Leonard. But again, I would gladly take either of these guys. And I know some people, like, I've seen some people be like, like, those guys are traitors, you don't get them. But to me, that's just silly. That is so silly. If you have a chance to go get Paul George or Kawhi Leonard, guess what? You go get Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, right? If you win an NBA championship with one of these guys, are you really going to be like, oh man, give the championship back? They're Clippers. Like, no. Like, these guys give you an opportunity to win a championship. You go get these guys. And again, talking, Paul George is shooting 45% from the field on 18.5 attempts. He's shooting 38% from three on 8.4 attempts. He's also been the better closer and clutch guy down the stretch. I mean, ask the Lakers in their game. Like, God. But he's shooting 50% from 2-point range, which again is great on 10 attempts per game. He's averaging 24 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.8 steals, and a block. He's also shooting 92.5% from the foul line. So he has been great. And again, all things that the Lakers need desperately. If the Lakers could get either of these guys, I really think you do it. Now, there's the questions of would the Clippers even want to make a trade with the Lakers? Like, that's something I see all the time. But you have to keep in mind, both of these guys would have a lot of power because both of these guys would be free agents. And Kawhi isn't, like, you look at the Toronto situation, that was a completely different Kawhi Leonard. That was, top 5, arguably the best player in the league at the time, Kawhi Leonard. And it was a gamble that paid off. And guess what? He ended up leaving. Kawhi will leave and not even second guess leaving if you were to trade for him. You know that'll happen. Paul George has kind of shown a little more loyalty, right? Because Paul George is upset because the Lakers didn't trade for him and allowed him to go to OKC. But he fails to realize that it made no sense for the Lakers to trade Paul George because they could have signed him outright and then would have used all the pieces to go get Anthony Davis. So we literally could have had a team of Paul George, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James. And we probably win 2 or 3 NBA championships, right? Maybe LeBron doesn't get hurt that one year because we would have had Paul George and we win an NBA championship, right? The Lakers could have 2, 3, maybe even 4 championships if Paul George doesn't get caught up in his feelings and understand that it made 0 sense for the Lakers to trade for him. 0 sense for the Lakers to trade for him. But he had to go and it was silly. But look, these 2 guys just haven't worked. They haven't. Clippers, the Lakers in their worst season in franchise history made it to the Western Conference Finals. The Clippers as a franchise have only done that once with these guys. The worst season the Lakers have ever had is the best season the Clippers have ever had. That tells you everything you need to know, right? And look, but either of these guys is the third option on the Lakers. Ooh-wee. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel about these 2 guys? Would you want one of them? Do you think no, stay away from them? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you don't like this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.